Okay, you saw the title of the video, you know what this is about. Just remember, this is a hobby, this is for fun. We're not talking about politics today.
I withdraw the comment about defecating.
Take these things I'm about to say with a grain of salt. There's a chance there's stuff in here that you like and you enjoy and it works great for you, but for me, it just hasn't worked out as good as I wanted to, or just hasn't lived up to my expectations. It's different for everyone. I'm a big, tall guy, so you'll see that playing a factor for a lot of this stuff, and it's where you live. I live in Vancouver Island. Our weather here is a lot different than the rest of the stuff in North America. Let me know what you guys think about everything down in the comments. I want to hear your feedback on stuff, because there's gonna be some stuff that I'm gonna be dissing that you probably like. So I'm curious what your opinions are on it. All right, let's come swing with a popular one that chances are is on your feet while you're on the trail, and that's the Hoga Speed Goats. These things did not hold up well for me. I wasn't impressed with their durabilities, kind of sum it up quickly. They started to rip quite a bit along the sides for me, and I found the first things that started to go on it was the lugs on the bottom. They seemed to smooth out quite quickly compared to other boots and trail runners I've used. I'm not particularly sure why that happened with it. They just seemed to not hold up very well. The big kind of nail in the coffin for me is that the sole of the shoe itself and the heel of the shoe, it seems to compress quite quickly through here. So whenever I step on something in the bottom, in the center here, like a pointy rock, it shoots right through and I could feel it and it stabs me right in the foot. They just didn't hold up very well. They only lasted a few hundred kilometers for me, and they were nice when they're new, but just like how fast they died, just didn't work out. I'm just assuming just because I weigh a lot, that's why I went through them so quickly, and it compressed the heel down at a very quick rate. And then once the lugs started to smooth out, I decided just to use them for regular asphalt running. So all these clips you're seeing of it is it's way smoother than it is just because I've been running on the asphalt. But on the other hand though, what's on my feet right now, some ASIC trail runners. I have roughly 500 kilometers on them and they're holding up amazingly. There's no sign of rips or tears on it, and I've used it through some pretty gnarly stuff. Shoes are a tough one to recommend though, because everyone's feet are totally different and just how your body handles to things. I need to say something nice about all this gear though, after dissing it for a few minutes. I'll say something nice about the Speed Goats. When these things were new, man, they felt great. I felt like I had a nice spring to my step with them. Very grippy at the beginning, super lightweight, breathed nicely. I thought they looked pretty sweet too, but if they last a long time for you, these would be an awesome shoe. Maybe I just got a couple lemons. Next piece of gear I was really hoping was gonna work out because it's a nice budget option. It's the Frogg Toggs rain jacket. Yeah, I had high hopes for this thing. My expectations were probably too high for a $30 rain jacket, but yeah, it's just not cutting it here. Like I said, I live on Vancouver Island, and what I found very interesting is that I read online that the wettest place in North America is a place called Henderson Lake here on the island. We get a lot of rain here, and a lot of my favorite hikes are in the valley over from Henderson Lake. It's more common than it's not. From the moment you wake up in the morning, it's raining, to the moment you go to bed at night, it's raining. With the Frogg Toggs, I find in the zipper area, it just wets out. The zipper isn't waterproof. I need a waterproof zipper living here. The other thing with the Frogg Toggs too that made me realize, compared to other rain jackets, is that rain jackets aren't just rain jackets. They're a good windbreak layer, and to have this thing be able to cover my arms, I need a double XL, and it's just like it's basically like a garbage bag. It's just so flappy everywhere. In the past, I used to cut a hole in arm sleeve out in the garbage bag, and it worked just as good as this thing did. It's like basically a garbage bag with a hood on it and a zipper, and it basically is just as aesthetic as a garbage bag. One thing I've realized that Gore-Tex jackets don't really work that well. I spent way too much money on my Gore-Tex jacket. Gore-Tex just doesn't breathe once it gets wet. I've been hunting and fishing a lot over the fall, and that's a lot of examples of where I'm just standing in the rain or moving very slowly for hours on end, and it still wets out, and just the condensation from my body just makes it extremely wet on the inside. With that logic, I thought, well, why not just get a cheap jacket? An expensive Gore-Tex jacket's not going to breathe anyways, but I find I have more water coming in than just condensation on the inside. I find it makes me get a little bit chillier quicker. If I'm going to be wetted out from a rain jacket, I'd rather it just be for my own body condensation, if that makes sense. The whole rain jacket topic's a little bit complicated. I'm trying to figure out something that works, like a wet but warm system, but I haven't come to any conclusions that I would be happy with, so the search is still on. But yeah, the Frogg Toggs just doesn't really cut it. I need something that cuts the wind out a lot better than this. Now, to complement the Frogg Toggs, this thing's insanely light and it's insanely cheap. To get a comparable jacket, you're looking at $200-300 or more with shipping and tax, depending on where you live. Like, if you understand the compromises you're making with it, it's an easy choice to go for the Frogg Toggs. Okay, this next one, I think I just had my expectations too high, so I was a little bit disappointed. That's the REI Helix sleeping pad. So to preface this, I haven't slept a lot of nights on different sleeping pads. Thermarest Neo Airs and X-Therm, and the REI Helix. Those are the only ones I've really slept on before, unless you count those close-out foam pads and a yoga mat. Those are not fun to sleep on. But with the Helix, I was hoping it was going to be the solution to me sleeping in the backcountry. But really, at the end of the day, it's still a bag of air. I was expecting to be able to sleep through the night with something like this, but it just wasn't happening for me. It's very comfortable with its dimpled baffling across it. Like, it acts as really great pressure relief, but I think I weigh so much, I bottom it out. And that brings me to another issue with it, with dimpled baffling, is that it doesn't sleep very warm either, from what I found. I think just because I weigh so much with all the dimpled baffling, I crush it down so that I'm quite close to the ground. It effectively cuts the R value in half of it. My butt and shoulders get pretty cold throughout the night on it. The kind of coldest I've had is roughly like 2 to 3 degrees on somewhat ground that was frozen earlier in the day. I was testing it out, so I had a closed-cell foam pad next to me, and during the middle of the night, I had to hop off it to stick underneath, and then I was warm enough. Jumping back to the comfort, I've tried to make this thing work. Like, I set it up at home next to my bed, use my pillow I sleep on at home, my blanket I use at home, so everything would be really comfortable. But yeah, I just wake up after a few hours. I find my shoulders and hips gets quite stiff. Yeah, but I think I just have my expectations too high. It's just a backpacking sleeping pad, and the overall durability of the sleeping pad isn't the best. I should also add too, it's pretty heavy for being a backpacking sleeping pad. It's roughly 100 grams heavier than my X-Therm. That's a pretty serious winter sleeping pad. Time for the compliment. REI has a sale 3 times a year. If you pick it up during one of those sales, you can get it for an insane deal. I got this for like $118. I've seen them on sale for $60 before for a clearance sale. That's an insane deal for a backpacking sleeping pad. If you're not thicker than a Snicker, then the REI Helix might be a great pad for you. Next one's a pillow. The Sea to Summit Aeros Ultralight. Yeah, it's gonna put this one up to my body type. I have wide shoulders and my neck hurts just from looking at this thing. It's too thin. It's way too thin for me. I was down in New Zealand, my Trekology pillow I've had for multiple years sprung a leak on it, and a few leaks, and I needed to pick up something. So this is the one they had at the store, and I thought I'd give it a shot. It's just too narrow for me. Not much else to say about it. It didn't work out for me. It skates around quite a bit too, kind of like an old That's a bad joke. Maybe I won't use that one. It slipped off my sleeping pad quite a bit, significantly more than my Mech backpacking pillow. Not a whole lot to say about this pillow. It just didn't work for me personally. Compliments for it, for how wide it is, it's extremely light. I think it's only around like 60 grams or so. That's extremely light for a pillow. A little bit on the pricey side though. I think it was like $60 when I picked it up. New Zealand. I'll look it up. I don't mind the valve system on it. I like having the quick dump. It's a little tricky to adjust it though. Not that I ever was trying to deflate it. If anything, I was trying to get more into it so it'd sit up a little taller. Then it'd have a rock hard pillow and my ear would be on fire after being on my side for about 45 minutes. But I like the dump valve for deflating it. Nice and quick. This next one, ladies, I'll put a timestamp in here for you to skip because this doesn't apply to you at all. Oh, Saxx boxers. Well, long story short, they didn't work for me. The no-seam meshing in there just isn't comfortable. It kind of hurts. I was looking for a pair of boxers that helps through down there. I can get a little bit of chafing down there on high mileage days. But yeah, so I tried some Saxx boxers, but it didn't work. It caused an aching sensation down there. I haven't tried them a whole lot because the first couple times I had that wearing them, I just didn't like that. And don't want to cause any issues down there. And they were pretty pricey too, like $40. Okay, very short one, but compliment for it. The fabric is very soft. I wish they worked because the fabric's really soft, but yeah, I didn't like it. I have to try out another pair of boxers. I think this is the second time on year I've showed you guys my underwear. Last pair was a pair of Smartwool undies, and they got kind of ratty. I think 2 times in a year for showing you guys my underwear is more than enough. Last piece of gear up is the Mech backpack. I was excited for this backpack to work, but it has a couple huge fundamental issues with it. This backpack, when I got it, was like after tax here in British Columbia, it was $150 Canadian. It's like $100 US. You can pick it up for really cheap when it's on sale. I was really excited to finally try out a backpack with running vest style shoulder straps. The whole concept of them seems really cool and a good way to distribute weight across my chest and then take it off my hips. But there's a few things that are fundamentally wrong with this backpack. The water bottle pockets on the side are just way too tall. Like you you can't reach back there. Unless you're a gymnast or someone that your hobby is being flexible, you're probably not gonna be able to reach a water bottle from the back of it. The straps are way too long on it. They're kind of just dangling, floppy everywhere. I guess you could cut it back. There's a couple weird pockets on the inside for a water bottle. You can take it out. The hip belt pockets suck. I can barely fit my iPhone, but they sit really far back, almost like in behind my hip, and they're not removable. This is the type of backpack you want to be able to remove it. The backpack comes with a frame that's a composite plastic with a aluminum strut down the middle of it. It seemed pretty cool, but I took it out right away because I wanted an ultralight fast pack. There's some weird design choices too, like the mesh pocket on the back doesn't stretch, so once you have stuff inside the backpack, it's near impossible to be able to reach inside. Not near impossible, but it's very difficult to be able to reach inside there. The mesh doesn't include for when the backpack's loaded up with gear. It's not any larger than what it actually is, so it's hard to fit stuff in there. And the fatal flaw for it is the running style vest clips. You can see how thin the clips are on the chest straps. If you ask any structural engineer, they'll say that your structure is only as strong as its weakest link. Well, that's very much the case with this backpack. This tiny little piece of plastic here is what's holding those shoulder straps together, and if it snaps, your backpack's basically hooped, and that's what happened to me. The clip on this side here snapped on it, and then I was basically kind of out of luck with it. Another issue with that too, with this clip, is that it's a very unique piece, so it's not like you can just go buy another one from the store. I went down to Mech, and luckily the staff at the Mech location in downtown Victoria are really awesome. They took one off another backpack and put it on this one for me, so I was able to use it, but yeah, once that happened, I wasn't too confident in taking it in the backcountry for an overnight trip. You got to be able to trust your gear at the end of the day. Okay, time for the positives of it. If you want an affordable backpack, if you pick this one up with sale, it's hard to beat. Try to find another backpack for $100 US. Not a whole lot of other options out there for an equivalent price. And for me, I finally got to try out a backpack with running style shoulder running vest style shoulder straps, and I love it. After trying it, I'm surprised more companies don't make backpacks with it. I'd love to get the same 55-liter backpack with running style shoulder straps. I think Z-Packs might have one. We'll have to see. I feel like after using this, more people do. There'll be a big switch over to the running vest style shoulder straps in the future. So if you guys enjoyed listening to me talk about gear and want to see me do some winter camping in action coming up soon, don't forget the subscribe button over here. And I got a video over here a little bit more on a positive note about my favorite gear from 2024. So go check that video out. We'll see you guys over there. Ugh, I always feel awkward saying this part, but we'll see you guys over there.